Inwood, New York City. Welcome to Inwood Art Works On Air. It's where we meet the musicians, filmmakers, writers, designers, theater makers, and artists of all stripes who make their home what we affectionately call upstate Manhattan. I'm your host, Aaron Sims, and today we welcome local costume designer Barbara Erin Delo. Barbara is a costume designer and artisan working in dance, theater, and opera. A New York native, she has previously designed costumes for, wait for this list, folks, Williamstown Theater Company, Bay Street Theater, Berkshire Theater Group, Theater of St. Clements, Judson Church, The Flea, Hideaway Circus, York Theater, Capitol Repertory Theater, Castillo Theater, Martha Graham Dance Company, Paul Taylor Dance Company, Parsons Dance Company, Megan Williams Dance Company, Battery Dance Company, New York City Fringe Festival, Chain Theater, Third Rail Productions, as well, yes, as many others. We will not have time because this is a podcast about questions, not just bios. But regional theaters galore. In addition, she has studied costume design at SUNY Binghamton and NYU Tisch. We're going to talk to her about not just her bio, but her work and more here on Inwood Art Works On Air. So thank you, Barbara Erin Delo, for joining us here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. How are you today?
I am wonderful. It is the most beautiful day in Inwood. As we were talking about, it's like this wonderful fall spring. We spent the morning in the park, having our pastry outside and watching the water, watching the ducks, and it's just lovely. And ran through the farmer's market. I was there too late for milk, as always.
Milk and eggs go fast.
They go fast on the Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of a lovely Inwood morning today.
What brought you here?
To Inwood?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, we lived on Dyckman Street for many, many years, my husband and I, and moved up here, up to Park Terrace West when we had my daughter. We needed a little more space, and luckily it was COVID time, so we actually had some time off to actually find a place that we really loved and commit to and get into. But we've always lived uptown. It's just a great area. You get to be on all the trains and get wherever you need to go.
A little more quiet at night.
It's quiet. Yep, especially up here. Yeah, not down on Dyckman, but
Dyckman, it has its moments, but yes, the summertime, it's challenging.
Yes,
at least,
but
right?
it's just a great area,
Okay. Well, so talk about your world and in the costume design world. Obviously, it's better to have a bio where you haven't designed. I tell you, which is a great problem to have because you're a working professional. So what in the world? Go an origin story here, okay? Everyone's a good origin story. What in the world made you decide the decision to pursue a vocation in the performing arts, theater, let alone costume design?
Because we're all crazy.
There you go. We take that.
Yeah, I know it's such a weird job, and interestingly enough, it's the only job I've ever had. Most people come to costume design kind of through another avenue. I'm one of those weird people. I actually, in high school, and I grew up in New York, in Rockland County, and in high school, I would help with the costumes in the plays. Interestingly enough, I think because I was probably one of the few people my age who knew how to sew, because it's really fallen out of fashion. Yeah. I'm one of 7 kids in New York, so we had to learn how to sew our own buttons back on, stuff like that from my parents. And I think just being able to know how to sew, that was something that I started doing in school. And then when I went to Binghamton, they just had an amazing costume shop with like an incredible, Barb Wolf was their costume design teacher. And I just realized that this was not just something I could do on the side, but could really be a full-time job. And then the more I studied it and started working with people, I realized also that it's an incredibly fun job. Like, as we all know, theaters, it can be a stressful job, but it's all about being able to collaborate with other people. And especially in the costume design world, we get very intimate with the people we're working with. It's not something that is applied on top. It's something that becomes a part of them, part of the character, part of the show. A lot of the work I do, especially on new works, new shows, we try and get in really early in the process so that the costumes can really become an integrated part of the storytelling. It reveals so much what we put on our bodies or what we take off our bodies or how we present ourselves to the world. So it's really like part psychology, part therapy, part sewing, part costumes. And putting all that together is it's a dream job.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned all of that because you brought a psychological aspect that people don't understand about the design world. It's not just patterns, which to the naked eye, maybe for some people, and maybe it is for some people, some designers. But I love the fact that and to translate even further, it's about storytelling.
Absolutely.
And it's your voice in the story. Pretty amazing.
It's such a different art form than when you think about kind of either standard art, paintings, things like that, but also even like fashion or, any sort of design in that world, because our work can't exist without many people together. Like a dress on a dress form just does not do what a dress on a human being moving does. And that's a big thing in dance as well, circus, anything like that, that it's the movement, right? It has to, it can enhance, it can prohibit, it can restrict. And so it has to all work together. And it's a unique thing to theater that I think shows us a lot about life too, right? Yeah. It can't be done alone. We have to be working together to make it happen. And it's really fun.
I couldn't agree more. Do you have like a defining like career turning point moment for you where you're like, I can do this. These are my people. This is. It's like I made it after all.
I don't know if we ever feel like we made it, but well, interestingly enough, we in my bio you talked about things I've done as a designer, but I also work as an associate designer, and I really had that moment of this incredible project I was working as Anna Fleischer's associate designer on Hangmen. We were bringing it to Broadway from the West End. And it was, first of all, working with Anna, and I've worked with her many, many times, is the greatest experience. She is my inspiration as just a human being and also a great designer. And we were bringing the show to Broadway, and I thought, this is amazing. We've done it. And then March 2020, and COVID hit when we were in previews, and everything shut down.
My wife and I saw one of those 9 performances, just so you know.
Well, I hope you liked it.
We did. We loved it.
But yeah, we were in the same room then. But we shut down and closed the show, and that felt like both the highest point and like the lowest point in that moment. During COVID, during that crazy time, we got a call, and they said, "Hey, listen, we're never going to reopen the show. It's done. Come get your stuff from the theater." And in the like maybe highly emotional and after a few cocktails sense of that time, I told my husband, I said, "Listen, I've worked too hard on this show. I've been working on it for a year, and we're going to go get those costumes. I'm not letting them throw them out." So we just took them all. Like, they were throwing them in the garbage. We didn't like steal them, but we just took them all, and I just hoarded them. And my husband very unhappily was like, "What are we going to do with all this stuff?" And I'm like,
"But where to put my clothes, darling?"
It's fine. I'm gonna find a place for it. And a couple years later, I get the call, and they say, "Hey, listen, we're going to bring Hangman back."
We got that, we call it the SVOG money. We have to do it.
And I called Anna, and I said, "I have to tell you a crazy story." And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "They're all here in my apartment." And so we reopened the show, and we had the costumes, and it was wonderful.
You saved the day without knowing you saved the day.
So it was Hapgood version 2. But version 1 was kind of the moment where I felt like, oh, this is really something that I can sustain long term as a life. And getting through COVID, I actually think, even though it was a hard time, it solidified it for me that it wasn't going to go away just because of the things that happen in the world.
Yeah. What was it about working on that show and her work aesthetic that influenced you?
I think I had always worked for American designers, and getting that, she's a London-based designer, but she's actually German, but getting her kind of different vibe and different way of looking at things just was really eye-opening to me. I've worked for so many great designers, and I learned so much from all of them, but just seeing kind of a different attitude towards it. She takes her work very seriously, but also doesn't let it kind of consume her in the way that I know we all do here.
American
theater makers.
It's like it's the lack of identity because it is your identity.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I remember her being like, "Oh, I'm going to step out of tech. I have to go call my son," and I was like, "You can't do that.
You have no family. You're in tech.
What are you doing?" And she's like, "Yeah, of course, it's fine. I'll be back in 5 minutes." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Great life lessons.
Yes, it was a great life lesson. And now I have a daughter, and it's she actually gets to travel the world with us. We were just in Italy doing a show for Parsons, and we were just in Copenhagen, and letting her see the theater in that way, and making the theater accessible to parents and to people of every walk of life is now like a really important thing to me.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, the personal side, because it kind of segues into a question about identity and also a personal, larger and personal question. I think it's important for every artist to answer is that for themselves and only to themselves is like, how do you define and measure success for yourself? You know?
Yeah, it's definitely a hard thing in our industry because you never feel. I know people of all walks of theatrical life, people with Tony Awards, people just starting out, and I don't think anyone ever feels like it's enough. But
That's the Agnes DeMille quote,
I
right? Over and
think
over again.
that's what drives us to do
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a
That
bad
hunger.
thing necessarily. I
Yeah.
think we can always do more, we can always do better. I always see the success part as just being like, I live my life, I'm happy with the projects I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
that's the real joy of it, is being able to work on projects that I love, that I'm passionate about with people I love, as opposed to trying to just pick up a job because I absolutely have to do it. So that's what I would say I see as being the success in this industry. But yeah, I don't know if we ever feel like we've reached our peak.
That unsatisfactory hunger that keeps on going through. But I feel like this is part of what I do. Is like this is the work, right? Like I love part of this. We created this program for people like you, all 200 plus people like you we've interviewed over the past 6 years of finding out more, and it's like this is what makes me happy, and it's like, and it's never the same interview twice. It's always someone I'm learning from you, people are listening and learning from you, and hopefully taking something from it. And I think that's just, how can we keep the work going for us.
When I don't ever want to feel done. Like I think
Yeah.
if you feel like you have nothing more to
Keep
learn
learning.
or
Yeah.
nothing more to gain, then
Yeah.
get out, retire, be
I
done.
agree.
I remember when I decided to go back to grad school, I'd been working in the industry for a couple of years, and it wasn't that I was going back because I felt, stuck or that I needed it or I wanted to teach. It was like, oh, I've now been able to watch and learn from people, and I see some things they're doing, and I want to hone those skills in myself. I want to take time to learn that, and I try and do that now between projects when I have do we ever have free time? But when I have some free time, I'll try and pick up. Working on, I was just doing some embroidery work, learning those new skills and then seeing how it can be integrated into our work, or just how it can inform future work, or just to really have the respect for these artisans. Like, we hire people to do these things, and you get to see this amazing finished product. But until you've sat there and been really angry with the needlepoint, you can't truly appreciate what they do.
And you've been on both sides of it. You've been in as a kind of a managerial position, and you've also been that person frustrated with that needle in their hand. So I think that gives you a little bit of perspective, because I want to talk about that, because we don't get the inside theater/baseball talk much about, how do you approach working collaboratively, and bringing your own vision in line with the director as a designer, but like you're saying too, like you have a team, you have an associate, you have day workers who are trying to establish. So the question is like, how do you you can personally and or your just perspective, generally speaking, about how we accomplish these things together, and going back to that first question we had about that how do we tell your story?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many parts of it, and there's
Right.
so many people to celebrate, which I love. And every project's different, and designers do approach this differently. There are some designers who do not pick up a needle and thread. That's just not, and that's not necessarily their job, right? Their job is to design, have the idea of the piece. And this comes from who I've worked for before, and also just my background is I've always been a little more hands-on. I love picking a project to work on during a show, even if it's being built by a shop. That means I don't have to do it. It keeps me in relation to the shop. Like, I can see what's going on. I can see what they're working on. And also, I think it keeps myself as the designer open to the shop, so they can come and talk to me and ask me questions, or we can collaborate on something. I don't ever want to be in a room by myself trying to fix a problem. I want to be in a room with 10 amazing people saying, okay, well, what if we did this and this and that? There are no bad ideas. Everybody come at this. Let's figure it out. And it's similar in the fitting room. When we get in a fitting room with an actor, it's never as simple as put this thing on and shut up. Like, I don't buy that. I don't understand that attitude. I think it's gone mostly out of fashion, but there are still people who do it. Now, of course, sometimes it's a ballet and you're in the ensemble, and you will probably be wearing what you're going to be wearing. But it's never that simple. There's always going to be efforts of fitting, of comfort, what they're doing in the work.
Functionality.
If you need a little more room for breathing, even if it is the same costume, if you need something a little longer or shorter because you have parts of your body you might be self-conscious about. One of the things I always ask when we do measurements, before we even get to fabric, before we even get to fittings, I always just say to them, like, tell me a little about yourself. Like, what do you feel comfortable in? What do you like to wear? Is there anything you want to tell me? And I just put it as an open conversation, because also they can give me a lot of information to help me do my job better. If they tell me they look terrible in cap sleeves, maybe they do. Sometimes people are wrong. Sometimes people just don't know. But it's also opening them up to being able to tell me what's going to make them feel good. Because if you put someone on stage and they don't feel good, even if they look great, they're not going to own that costume. They're not going to own that look. And so it's just a huge part of the process. And with directors, it's great. I love getting to work with the same directors over and over again, because I have a repertoire with them, or, I can say to them, okay, I know you don't like orange. Just wait. Just wait. Just trust me. Like,
Before you see scene 4.
And when I can have that relationship with directors, and they'll say to me, like, okay, I think I'm going to hate this, but I'm going to give it a chance. Yeah. And sometimes they'll love it. And sometimes they will hate it. That happens. We always have to adjust. That's what live theater is. Yeah. You never know what's going to happen under the lights. Those damn lighting designers.
We tried to have them on the show,
but
purposely. We barred them out of this building for this podcast.
So it's being able to have that relationship and build that relationship is really important. And it's trust. It's based on trust, of trust that the director believes that I'm trying to give them something really important to help them tell their story. Trust from the performer that I'm not going to let them go out there and feel bad or look bad. And trust from my team that I'm not going to give them work that I don't think they can accomplish and do great. I don't ever want to set anyone up to fail. And that's really important to me.
Really important. Again, going back to the collaborative nature, it's like we're all working together towards one common vision. And, you want to have people that and then you made a really good point too with the fitting rooms as well, and it kind of ties it all together, is that, everyone has a say, and I think I will be 100% honest. Coming up in the ranks, I felt many times I did not have a say. The two words mental and health ne'er were spoken the same sentence, let alone next to each other. It's such a different world now.
Yeah.
It's just beyond. So there is a consideration that wasn't there before. That I think it's great that you have that cognizance, and others are now addressing.
Well, and I'm glad it's happening for a lot of reasons, but I truly think you get better work doing it this way. Like, I think you get a better outcome when everyone has a hand in the process. People own what they are doing when they feel like they have a part of it. I feel that way about my assistants and associates and stitchers and craftspeople too. Like, the reason I always want to bring them into the process and not dictate to them what to do is because I want them to have ownership over it and really love what they're putting on stage as well. And I think I get better work out of those people because they want to do it, and they want to do it well. And also, everyone should be happy, right? That part too.
We try. I feel like a never-ending failing of making everybody happy, but we strive for it. We do strive. But speaking everybody happy and you happy too, like, and I know you're not supposed to choose between children, but do you have a favorite production?
Oh, that's tough.
Of course it is. Doesn't mean anything's less. I'm just saying, do you have a personal favorite?
So, I think I'm gonna say, and it's a slightly cheating because it's a changing production, but I do a circus every year, and it's a new circus every year, but it's the same company, and it is probably my favorite thing I work on all year. Cool. And not just because the performers are just so great and so collaborative, and the things I get to watch them do are amazing. And sometimes I have to cover my eyes. We did this Korean plank last year, and these boys would jump up in the air and flip over, and I would be like, no, please don't fall, please.
Is this Hideaway Circus?
Yeah, Hideaway Circus. And but I also love it because it is one of the best teams. I've ever worked on. It is like the design team is awesome, the producing team is awesome. Uh, every year, and my assistants say the same thing. We always travel out of town to tech the show, some random place. We were in Vermont or upstate,
Okay.
and we just have a great time. Like everyone is enjoying it. It's usually at the beginning of the summer, early or spring, and so you're kind of getting outside for the first time, and it's just a very happy, wonderful process every year. And I think even as much as I love the work and I really enjoy the way the work looks, it's also just that the process of getting there is always so wonderful. So I think that's might be a favorite
Great
the last few
answer.
years.
Great answer. Made all the theater people and circus people and dance people not mad at you by choosing a total different genre. Well played. Well
Don't tell me
played.
back.
I won't tell anybody else. I mean, gosh, you've done so much. And we've already kind of talked about how the industry's changed with mental health and everything. Are there any other industry things that were trending in ways you hope could see it go a little better for the better?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now is a really interesting time in our industry. We have a very strange, we have a lot of great things happening, and we have a very strange gap because of COVID. So many people, people I had worked with who I absolutely loved were amazing, who chose a different path during that time. Maybe they moved out of New York, maybe they found another job while theaters were closed that they fell in love with. And so we actually lost a kind of a whole generation of people during that time. Obviously not everybody, but a lot of people who I was really excited to see what they did coming up. And I'm so excited about the new young people I see coming up in the industry because they have so many good ideas and so many good ideas about how to change theater, make it better. But the lack of people is hard right now. It's hard. We're seeing less people going out for these jobs, less people on crews, and that makes our job harder then too.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think will balance itself out. But I mean, I also just encourage people get into the theater. Like, come, we want
Join
you.
us.
We want you.
Join our circus,
we want
if you
your
will.
People. It's fun, I swear.
No, really.
But I think that's been a really tough thing over the last few years is
Yeah.
readjusting to that
well.
and just figuring out. One of the things that's really important to me, and I learned this from Anna, is and from some of the other designers I worked with, is to bring up these people. Like, it's your job if you are lucky enough to get in a position where you get to hire people and you get to work with a team, is to not just leave them there. Like, it's my job also to support them and bring them up. My associate, I'm constantly like, hey, I got this gig, I can't take it. Please, will you do it? Or do you want to co-design this with me? Or can we share this project? Because there definitely was something in the past, and it's still around, where the idea was I have to take every job. It has to be mine.
Yeah.
Like, I have to do every single thing. And it's bad for a lot of reasons. It's bad because you're not bringing up people and you're not sharing this amazing thing we get to do. But also it leads to you being really overwhelmed and overworked and not giving the care and attention to every project that it deserves.
Yeah.
So I don't think it benefits anyone. But I also think, again, more people in the room, we gain more,
Right.
the work gets better. So as much as we can bring people in and support them, I think that as older designers, that's something that we're responsible for. Like, we have to make that part of our process.
As someone who hires people on an almost weekly basis for shows, being a general manager, I can tell you it's one of my most favorite things is put together teams.
Yeah.
I love putting together teams. And as someone, I can't believe like we're talking like it's 2025. In many ways, my brain is still in 2021 because it is true. It's like the people who will not pick up the phone anymore because they're not there. Because, like you said, for all the right reasons, there are new lives, new challenges. And that's wonderful, but it does leave a huge gap. And what's missing is the institutional knowledge and skill sets that are required. Say you walked into a room with 10 different people working for you. Well, now it's 6, and those 6 are working more hours, so the work is not as perhaps tight because they're working more hours, and so you gotta take what you can get there. Because guess what? Opening night's still the same day. So it's really. I will say this. My hat is off to everyone in the entertainment industry who's still here. And for those of you who left us, God bless you. We miss you well. But hopefully your children can join the circus like we do, like we have. And because it's going to take a generation, or because there's the same amount of jobs have. It's funny because it costs more for fabric now. It costs more for labor now than it did 5 years ago, and yet we really can't. The ticket prices aren't reflecting it, and for those who are doing,
and our funding is not reflecting it.
Well, the point is, like, to do free outdoor Shakespeare, for instance, or whatever, it's becoming more and more difficult to do your tickets, which is why you're getting $900 ticket Othellos on Broadway and things like that. Which is, listen, we went through this with the producers way back a long time ago with Broadway Across America and things like that. So the $100 tickets, remember those, or $200 tickets? Remember, I was like, $100! Oh my gosh!
Are we aging ourselves now?
Yeah, we are aging ourselves. Well, I'll age myself. You look great. I'm fine. I got no hope for me. But it's that same story over and over again. So it's a challenging time to make things happen, but there are a lot of resilient folk out there.
Well, and that's my hope, that because we have to stay hopeful right now.
We do.
Through everything, we have to stay hopeful. My hope is that, because especially with the funding and federal funding, and like, who knows what's going to happen. I'm so glad I don't run a theater, because my friends who do, I'm just like, I'm so sorry for whatever is happening. But my hope that I keep is that in times of hard, right? When things are rough, sometimes really great art comes out of that. And my hope is, in all of this change that's happening and all the flux and like that, it'll inspire people to be really great artists, and it will bring great art in. Sometimes you do need the pressure of a tough situation to solve a really hard problem. And that's like my glimmer of hope. I'm like, this will make great art. Downtown in someone's basement. I don't know.
I think that's a great note to end on. I think keeping that hopefulness, and exactly. It's like, well, like we were talking about. I remember talking to a friend about doing Chekhov when we were younger, and we're just like, well, we haven't really lived yet, so we can't really do Chekhov. And we're like 22-year-olds with such great wisdom. I mean, like, we're total theater nerds, and so we're like, we can't do Chekhov. We have new life. It's like we have to live and get divorced and smoke. And,
I still believe I'm 22 years old.
Well,
in my head.
But we were literally 22, going like, we want to do Chekhov, but we can't because we haven't lived and like have crushed lives and things like that. And we're like, well, we've had our own version of crushed lives, and that's all that really matters. But that's where the beauty in Chekhov comes from, of course, is that the tragic is, you have to laugh, and there's the beauty in that. And I sincerely hope there's some comedy coming out of this time.
Oh my gosh,
because we need more of that. Less of the serious stuff. We understand how bad it is. Like, what I don't need more is the theater that reflects the news cycle. I don't need any more of that, right? Do you need more of that?
No. I was watching a show recently, and they were previewing the show we're going to do next year, and these amazing choreographers are showing us this work, and they're telling me like, oh, they're big TikTok stars, like, and I was like, oh, so we're having a conversation afterwards, and I realized that when in my brain I'm 22 years old, they're actually 22 years old, and I was like, yeah, so I was like, we can show you this and this and this, and they're like, and I was like, then you can show me what TikTok is, and I've never felt so old in my life, and I was like, but let's be funny, let's just have let's have some humor in it.
Have some humor in it. Yes, exactly. I am not on TikTok. I probably should be. I'm sorry. I'm not. I am also not 22, but mentally possible. But, well, Barbara, thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah. Where can we send people to find more about your work and perhaps reach out to you and maybe ask you to hire them for work?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, if you are looking for work,
if you're
looking for work, you can get me on my website. It's www.barbaraerin.com. Or in Inwood, usually at the cafe.
Yeah, you can see Barbara and I having a cup of joe down there talking about our hopes and dreams and fears.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if you are trying to come into this industry and even if you just want someone to talk to, like I really enjoy getting to hear from young people trying to work into this world. Like drop me a line, because it's fun, and I love to welcome people into this. It should be a welcoming place.
You're very generous.
Theater.
Absolutely. So
thank you for having me.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. This is so much fun. This is great just to hanging out, just like we're talking, but with microphones on. I really appreciate it. And hire Barbara. I've worked with Barbara in the past. I won't tell you where and for what show, but
It was a wacky one.
it was a really wacky one. I tell you this when I see you sometimes. I call it my German mime theater production of that show. But we pulled it off famously, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of our work. I will say that. Keep the good stuff going here. And again, thanks to Barbara for dropping by and sharing all she can here on Inwood Art Works on air. And this is the place where you meet the artists, musicians, filmmakers, writers, theater makers, and artists of all stripes who make their home here in Northern Manhattan. If you have a moment, please show us some love right now and rate and review this podcast 5 stars on whatever your platform of choice is. Many thanks to the Church of Good Shepherd for hosting us and HideSites.com for uptown promotional support. Hey, you can support On Air and all of our programming by making a tax-free donation at inwoodartworks.nyc/donate or via Venmo at Inwood Artworks. Be sure to follow us on social media to keep up all that we do, which includes the Inwood Film Festival, Filmworks Alfresco, live concerts, and so much more. Inwood Artworks On Air is proud to be supported in part by public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs in partnership with the City Council, and Inwood Artworks programming is made possible by the New York State Council on the Arts with the support of the Office of the Governor and the New York State Legislature. From the top of Manhattan and the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Aaron Sims for Inwood Art Works.